Yo everybody, welcome back to Heroes Hearth Warcraft 3. It's great to welcome you back to, indeed, another fight night. We couldn't be more excited to present another hot best of 5 with you. My name is Kendric, and with me, as always, my co-host Grubby.
Hey Kendric, how's it going, man? Glad to be here for another fight night, and what a show we've got here. Very excited about this one. How about you?
I couldn't be more excited, man, because we're finally gonna find out if Hitman has truly grown as much as he likes to make us believe, you know? It has taken a while, but finally we have found a worthy human opponent. We wanted to surprise him with one last time and the time before that, but for some weird reason it never really worked out, and we had to, you know, find all these undeads and night elves in the meantime. But today we have JohnnyCage from Russia, none other than him, to put him to the test.
And this is really cool because, ladies and gentlemen, Hitman right now, he'll be playing under the name Ethereal, but he is Hitman.
True.
He plays on the Asian servers, NetEase. He's been working hard and he's been winning a lot. This is the 4th consecutive fight night that he's playing. He's won the previous 3, all against Russian compatriots of JohnnyCage. He's 3 Russians thick into victory. Will the 4th one stop him? And the last time, we had Hitman once before. He's one of our first returning players. He actually was stopped by a human player in Effect, Kendric.
All right.
Yeah, very true. So, Effect, you know, he was very strong back at that time. However, we could say that Hitman wasn't really at his peak, at his most stellar performance. He still had some, you know, he was kind of like a unrefined gem back then, you know, like a diamond in the rough, but he's grown so much tremendously individually ever since then. He's been part of major tournaments. He's now actually invited to the first ESL Pro Tour tournament that is going to take place in Anaheim. He was one of the 8 invited players next to legends, really, like Moon and Focus, or Happy, of course. So,
and that's going to be this week. That's going to be this weekend, right?
Yeah. Actually, next Friday it's going to start, if I'm not mistaken.
Really cool to see him in such a stellar cast as well. And I think Fight Night has been part of his proving grounds, really, going into that tournament. If he does well there, the experience he got here may have been helpful, may have been crucial. But this is going to be his biggest challenge yet, his least favorite matchup. But if there's one thing we already learned from Hitman, is that he likes to meet big challenges head on. He talks a really big smack talk, but he doesn't dodge any challenges. Even against players where he thinks he's the underdog, in matchups where he thinks he's the underdog. When he heard that JohnnyCage was going to be the opponent, he groaned like a floating watcher from Hearthstone. Yes!
And he was actually very pumped when he heard the name JohnnyCage, because that man had given him some trouble in American Online Cups before, and these two even seem to have a little bit of a history, a little bit of a rivalry, to be exact. Because JohnnyCage seems to have made it his purpose, his sole purpose in life, to snipe Hitman at as many tournaments as he can, only to make his life a little bit more miserable. So I would call it a friendly rivalry between the two, but just like in Mortal Kombat, where JohnnyCage has gotten his name from, it can really escalate into a fatality at no time. So, yeah, I mean, the lobby is up already. We have the first game on the way on Northern Isles. Just a very quick shout out to all of you that tuned in. We're having these fight nights every 2 weeks, and it's been an absolute blast so far. Your support has been absolutely stellar, and even today, it's even more appreciated because we started a little bit later because of Valentine's Day. You know, I couldn't make it. I had some other real-life duties to oblige to, but thank you guys for still making it on the Sunday. How was your weekend, Grubby, so far?
Yeah, very nice weekend. I didn't go to a nice Chinese restaurant.
Yeah.
Didn't you? It looked wonderful.
Yeah. It was really good. It was really good.
But we did have very nice home cooking. Had a great weekend. Glad you did too, and glad to round it out here with my other favorite partner besides my wife, you, to cast together in this fight night. Hitman had banned Terranus Stand, and JohnnyCage had banned Twisted Meadows. And we are in the most neutral map for the both of them, Northern Isles as our starter. The game has begun. Let's jump right into it. Ethereal in green, aka Hitman, which is how we'll be referring to him. And on the right side, JohnnyCage in the blue.
Yeah, absolutely. So in this matchup, you know, it's been talked about a lot at the moment. I would say perhaps maybe next to Night Elf Human, I think this matchup is very discussed at the moment. You know, you have a lot, especially on the human side of things, I think you have a lot of routes that you can take. especially in terms of hero choices, Grubby. While the Archmage is still a given in most of the games, the second hero choice in particular becomes so interesting, doesn't it, when you have the choice between Mountain King, Blood Mage, or even a neutral hero sometimes.
Yeah, I think Human has probably used up to 7 second heroes after Archmage against Orc traditionally as serious second heroes. We've seen Archmage Tinker Tower rushes, Beastmaster, Firelord. We've seen Archmage Panda, and you'll continue to see it if you see Orcs going Headhunters. And we've seen the Mountain King, the Blood Mage. Almost never the Paladin, though. But the most common one right now is Archmage and Mountain King. And I do expect to see that coming out of JohnnyCage. But the series is long and the night is young. And here we are, beginning on that first map. And Hitman right away is going to go for a 17-foot tech. No, an 18-foot tech. No, a 17. He cancelled his peon. So 17-foot tech with the Farseer. Really, really fast tech. Punishable only by the most deadly of tower rush all-ins. But only when the humans prepare to do such a thing. And this is a pretty long map. It's not easy to pull that off.
Yeah, and I also don't think that JohnnyCage is even interested in moving over anytime soon. He didn't really send a scout over, so he currently is left completely in the dark as to what his Orcish opponent is up to. He's instead going to your good old creeping, and he's very well advised to do so, because with a Farseer, you need to be very fast, otherwise your workers, your militias are in grave peril. Farseer really has become this harassing tool that Orcs can always fall back on, and I feel like if you're an Orc player, it's very chill to play with a Farseer, because unlike with a Blade Master, you're not necessarily so under stress, under time pressure that you need to level your hero, right?
Yes, that's true. And you're not juggling the health of your main hero all the time quite as much. The Feral Spirits are kind of like disposable tissues, send and forget. And we've got the first 42 experience for Hitman here, as he did kill that ailing water elemental with his wolves, giving none away. So good job by him so far. Now, we have talked a lot about Hitman, but not so much about JohnnyCage. He is our newcomer, our challenger, and I can tell you things about his style, his background, but I just want to tell you one thing. The guy kind of played loads of random, and he's really good with all the races. Human ended up being his main, but he does play all the races, so he's pretty well aware in terms of knowledge of what every race can do. As for this game in particular, he's gone for a very specific build order, and that is double farm tech. No third farm, no arcane tower even. Immediately taken up with just 3 footmen. There is not a quicker tech in the books by Human that can be taken seriously. So he's going to rush out that second hero, and he followed that up with a belated arcane tower so that he can eventually leave his base against Feral Spirit Harass. Even though his Archmage is only level 1.7 now, he'd eventually like to get level 2.
Yeah.
And then a blacksmith as well. And Hitman scouted this. So this is absolutely going to be Archmage, Rifle, Priest, and Mountain King. It can't be anything else. And Hitman knows that. So let's see how he responds to that.
Yeah, that's really cool for Hitman. You know that he knows exactly what he's up against, the early tech that you mentioned. Funnily enough, though, I think this is not too bad of an approach against the early tech of the Orc player as well. By the way, Hitman is going for a Tauren Chieftain. So we're having the most classic of hero duos, really, in Reforged now too. Tauren Chieftain hasn't lost much of his strength. Of course, the War Stomps are going to be crucial. Every now and then, should the human resort to a lot of squishy units in the back, a lot of casters, maybe some rifles as well, you could see Shockwaves, Chain Lightning combos really just rattling through and dealing tons of AoE damage, though.
Yeah, both are really, really good options, Shockwave and Stomp, of course. Stomp has as the advantage that it also shuts down Human. Nice steal, my god, Hitman stealing both of the creeps there.
He also denied his Spirit Wolf. So Hitman, when it comes to right-clicking those creeps and his own units so far, really doing a tremendously good job. So not only does he deny the experience for JohnnyCage, by the way, he's almost caught up in experience on his first hero, which with a Farseer as your only harassing tool is almost unheard of. That's not supposed to happen for JohnnyCage.
No, it's ridiculous. Those single target 21 to 27 damage steals by the Farseer. You need to be pretty precise with that. So really, really good job there by Hitman. JohnnyCage trying to brute force this creep camp. He better not get those stolen again. He really needs his brilliance. His Mountain King is already out.
Going to get that one as well. He gets it as well. Hitman! He seems to be on a roll today already. He has now overtaken, or actually equalized the score almost on the Archmage, that even with the help of the rifles now couldn't get those pesky Murlocs in his control. And here comes the TC as reinforcements, and he greets his human opponent with a mighty war stump. Now needs to be careful that he doesn't lose the Farseer, but it still feels like Hitman is in control of this. Now the Shamans, of course, they arrive as well. They now have additional crowd control ready. The Riflemen in the backline already taking huge amounts of damage, and this is not a battle that the human player can win.
This could be a very short game at this rate. A poor beginning here for JohnnyCage. He does not have brilliance. I don't think any of his practice games prepared him for this.
Crazy.
Hitman very on point here. Crazy, yeah.
We once again get to see why Hitman is literally one of the hottest players in the Western scene right now. And potentially, you know, with the upcoming DreamHack Anaheim tournament that is going to be the most prolific and prestigious tournament up to date in this year, maybe he can carry this form into, you know, when it comes to messing with the best of the best that the world has to offer. The likes of Moon, Focus, Happy, and more. We cannot wait to see what Hitman, perhaps the strongest American player that we have right now, can finally do.
Now, note that JohnnyCage is going for the quick attack here. Is he really ready? Not exactly, but he doesn't want Orc to get an expansion, which is one of the main meta strategies for Orc right now, is to throw up that quick tiny Great Hole, maybe pump out some Shamans, maybe some Kodos. Hitman is not playing that style though, does not have a Bestiary, is going straight up mass grunts and Shamans. And he's going to fight a lot, but he's not expanding as early. Actually, as I say that, he throws it down now.
Yeah.
He just wanted to have a nice army first. Thing is though, he's only at 40 food, Hitman is at 44, so besides the hero levels, Hitman's army is looking pretty hot.
That is true, especially the Tauren Chieftain Grubby. The big Moo cow is soon going to be level 3, and when that level 2 stomp comes online against the rifles, you know, if he manages to go in without getting slowed, without getting stunned too much, that is really going to be the make or break the hyper carry, I feel like, for the Orcish army. So let's see. They're trying to intercept each other, especially Hitman wants to keep the human army at bay, while his Achilles heel right now really in his battle plan, the expansion that is still constructing while that one is going on. So he's now focusing on the Mountain King. Only level 1, has no protective items on him at all, no potions, nothing to protect himself. JohnnyCage might lose his second hero already, and that at the same time is level 3. Hitman, he's executing every hero, every unit on site, and he can afford to do so with 2 Shamans in the mix right now. These water elementals are not going to say anything that's worth mentioning in this team fight. The cow is still uncontested as well. Out of mana, mind you, but still hitting like a truck.
Now, the Rifleman focus on the Shamans was actually really good. 2 to 3 Shamans were gunned down by these Dwarven shooters, and there's only 1 Shaman left with a single purge. A new one is being produced, but that was pretty good by JohnnyCage. He lost the Mountain King, but he wanted to get some value, and he did. Now, his priests are forgotten momentarily. They're at the tavern. Both players have 1 attack upgrade here, but the really big thing is that Hitman's got that expansion coming up, 80% of the way down.
And not just that, Grubby, I feel like the 5 workers actually that JohnnyCage tried to use as reinforcements in militia form in that fight, that of course also delays his lumber income in particular. So if he loses units now, if he wants to go for any upgrades, that is all going to be delayed. And now a very risky choice by JohnnyCage to start this creep camp right under the nose of Hitman, who uses Lightning Shield on the best target possible. It is now going to affect half of the human army. Now run away from this angry TC must be the motto, must be the battle plan for JohnnyCage. Another big war stomp connects though on multiple units though, but once again the focus fire on those rifles is not to be underestimated. Another Shaman bites the dust, another Stormbolt lands, and it seems like some way somehow JohnnyCage, despite being heavily outleveled on his heroes, can at least focus on the Orcish units very well.
This is pretty ridiculous. I don't see how JohnnyCage could almost have been any less ahead, any more behind.
Yes.
But here he is with just priests and rifles, and he's killing Shaman after Shaman.
Wow.
Boom, boom, boom. And suddenly, despite the hero levels, he's got an army, and JohnnyCage, Hitman does not.
Yeah, he now gets level 2 on the Mountain King, who also, by the way, got the big item from the previous pre-camp, the creep camp. He now has a Flute of Accuracy. Actually very nice if you consider that most of his army consists of ranged units. So this damage boost works out really well, and is Hitman's Kryptonite, the human race, finally coming in strong enough to best him. It's ridiculous, Grubby. 3.6 on the TC, 3.0 on the Farseer. He doesn't even need the enemy heroes. He's just doing it. JohnnyCage, with great micro and focus fire really on those rifles, is staying in this game.
But here we are, tanking with the Mountain King on the Troll level 6 Warlord. Gets a really cool item, Mana Stone, but he's got to get out of here. This TC has a mana pot. Right now, Hitman is turning his gold into items, into pure hero spellcasting killing power. The Mountain King is far away from level 3, where he can start to threaten the TC's life and survivability, and he's not able to pull away his Archmage because he just wants to creep this as fast as he can. Probably the move is JohnnyCage goes to the right side, gets the laboratory, and does an MK3 attack, but actually, no, he just wants to fight now. He knows Shaman numbers are still low, and he jumps in.
Oh, the Purge comes through. The Archmage was so far forward that the spell on the Wolves comes a little bit too late, and he has to pull the emergency break, uses TP immediately to get out of harm's way. That Archmage was in a dangerous spot otherwise.
Not too bad. Note, by the way, the interesting part, JohnnyCage entirely sacrificed his Arcane Vault. He never even made one, relied completely on priest healing, cannot rebuy Town Portal right now without paying a visit to the Goblin Shop. But that was still, it was a TP. He did kill 2 units during that. That's pretty cool. Problem is, though, Hitman's got a lot of money. Invis Potion, Mana Pot, Invul, double heal scroll.
Oh, yeah. He's pretty stacked. He's getting there with a thick inventory. Speaking of good inventories, though, the Mountain King certainly can't complain either. You know, now has a Mana Stone, gets a bigger invul for his efforts there as well. So the Mountain King, despite a slow start, is really shaping up to become this strong and much needed carry for JohnnyCage. Now, it seems like he's running a race against time, isn't he? With this expansion coming up, with this additional creeping time for Hitman, he's only getting stronger and stronger.
Archmage's position, though, a little awkward. There could be a Purge Speed Scroll surround potentially. Nice greater invulnerability timing, blocking the War Stomp's effect. And if he splits his army against the War Stomp, the TC won't do as much either. But no, he's not moving it. He's just going to Stormbolt the TC, now moving away his units. But that was a big War Stomp.
And there's absolute chaos and disarray in the ranks of JohnnyCage's army right now. The casters were in front. So many targets got stunned by the TC multiple times. But these rifles, these DPS machines in the back of JohnnyCage's lines, they're still completely unharmed, really, and in good shape. So now Workers in the mix, of course. First of all, as a meat shield, but also as potential pressure points. You know, if he wants to add some towers in this push, he's going to have to make something happen. Otherwise, Hitman, despite taking losses, will just outproduce him with superior economy.
So, Priest there dying to Purge. You know, unfortunate the supply line has been attacked. But at the same time, there was an auto attack by the TC onto that unit, which means the invisibility is gone.
Yeah.
A bad War Stomp could ruin him more than losing a single Priest. So at this time, JohnnyCage with his big 2-1 upgrades, he's got quite a big threat on that TC as well. It has a single potion of invulnerability, but that's about it.
Ooh, the Archmage position once again very ambitious JohnnyCage indeed. He does have a TP scroll, uses it immediately. In this push, he would have loved to prolong a little bit, I think, because he did have such a good grip on those peons in the back already. 2 peasants, Jimmy and Bobby, left behind. They will have to get saved another day.
Let's get out of here.
Not sure if they can make it, though. But yeah, if JohnnyCage just pays a little bit more attention to his Archmage, I feel this fight was his to take.
Now, it is the correct way to play for Orc with these units, with what he has. He cannot actually outvalue the rifles. 2-2 upgrades notwithstanding. Maybe with 5, 6, 7 War Stomps, you think Grunts will get enough hits against the rifles. But there's always that movement speed issue, trying to get in position. By that time, rifles are already doing a lot of focus fire. So focusing the hero is definitely the right call. At this moment, JohnnyCage is very unlikely to lose a straight-up fight. He wants Potion of Invulnerability, TP all the time, but my oh my, the damage output! He gets Warzone Battle Drums, True Shot, plus 10% to all the range. War Drums, once again, plus 10% to everything. This is insane, the damage output right here. He can do so much damage to the TC in between Invul and the stun actually ending.
Grubby, these rifles are going to be on steroids right now with the flute and the drums. producing all that battle music that he's looking for, and even the heroes now catching up in levels 4-4. That is nothing to sneeze at, and it seems like he wants to fight Hitman with his own weapons right now. Focuses on the TC, who of course does have an invul, and pops it right now. Hits almost the entire army with those war stumps, but the grunts, they cannot reach the backline right now. Tons of lightning shields coming through though, so that these riflemen standing next to each other can finally take down themselves here, but beautiful dispels coming through as well. Now it's an absolute slugfest. The Mountain King body block now uses the rifleman to make way. Now the Archmage is in trouble as well. Hero focus galore for Hitman, who is desperate to finally make a stand. And the Mountain King is falling first. JohnnyCage now with his back against the wall.
I thought, oh my god, I think that fight could have gone very, very differently. At first it looked like JohnnyCage was using his rifleman as a complete movement blocker. Despite all the damage he was taking from Lightning Shield and War Stomp, he was using his units to make sure the Archmage was inaccessible, not surroundable. And his Mountain King at the front buffering a lot of that damage. But I think he was a little bit too comfortable staying in that position.
Yeah.
With the War Stomps and the Chain Lightnings that were coming through. And the TC getting away with just a sliver of health. That's all JohnnyCage was waiting for with his Mountain King. For the TC to come back. He didn't cast a Stormbolt for more than 10 seconds. As he was waiting for the TC to come back. Or some kind of other targets. And that expansion running over and over for Hitman. And eventually... yeah, he didn't have enough to crack through the defenses of JohnnyCage. But if that's the first game, I think we're going to get a very good series on our hands.
Absolutely, Grubby. I started sweating a little bit when I saw JohnnyCage just getting denied creep after creep. You know, he didn't get a single drop of XP, really. It felt like Hitman, he just denied his own wolves. He denied him the last hits. It looked so dire for JohnnyCage. But then his great combat control, really, with those riflemen in particular, looked really solid. And that last fight, you know, the grunts were so far away, they couldn't connect. But if only, I think he had paid more attention to those stomps and maybe had made way for his heroes a little bit more, that could have really been the turning point. But valiant effort nonetheless for the Russian human player. I think this could be potentially the day where we see Hitman struggle more than before.
Yeah, I agree with you that, you know, you don't get a much better start than that. And then it's still got to be that close.
Yeah.
Really good focus fire on the Shamans. Looked very, very solid by JohnnyCage. Could have easily gone the other way. But Hitman did grind it out with that expansion, with those War Stomps, and some sweet Lightning Shields as well.
Yeah, that was so good. That was so beautiful. Is the game open already?
It is, but people aren't joining, so I should do invites.
I don't see it.
All right, give me a moment.
Maybe you can invite me. Maybe I can do it like this. Beautiful. Okay, nice. Yeah, guys, so we're already off to a fiery start. These two players are not giving each other an inch. And if you feel like you're about to do something cool for the community, you know, if you want to support those players and the production crew of the Fight Night as well, any Twitch donation or any bid contribution during this broadcast will go straight into the pockets, or into the bounty, I should say. The way this bounty works, you can see right now, 30% go to the champion, in that case Hitman. Up to this point, doesn't have to stay that way. 30% go to the challenger, and the remaining 40% go it will be split between really just the cast and the crew, and some of it will go to the bounty. So it's a really cool system if you want to add your 2 cents, quite literally, to this format and support the show, support the format and the players. It is all much appreciated. And we had some really cool community superstars like Nine Spoon Soviet. You know, there's a lot of legends actually that we know from other streams and that have done so much already.
Yeah, thanks everyone for the support here. For the Fight Night, for the players, for the cast and production and everything. So here we are with the second game on Last Refuge. Yeah. This was going to be JohnnyCage's first loser map, and he did just lose that first map. So this is his go-to. This should be his home territory. And so far he's going to be starting with that altar first. Let's see if he will do the double farm straight tech once again. That quick Mountain King second. Very effective on this map.
Yeah.
As it gives you control over the 2 goblin shops. Note how many times JohnnyCage brought in his militia in the previous game. It really gave him sway in a lot of those fights.
I really got to say that as well. And these are really the nuances that when you're a really good human player, you can use to your advantage. Oftentimes, you know, especially these days with humans looking very good in many matchups, they're oftentimes belittled, I feel, but human is really not an easy race to play at such a high level. You know, so many things you have to take into account. Your worker, your militia control, the tiny little fickle base, buildings. I think, like, architecture in SimCity for a human base, I think, is almost the most important one out of all the races.
Yeah, that's true. And we can see that the architecture by JohnnyCage is focusing on a one gap opening once again, which means that he's likely to initially omit that arcane tower so that he can tech even faster, only making it later so that he can leave. But initially just using his Archmage level 1.7 to defend against any potential Feral Spirit harass.
Yeah. So this time we're being joined by the Archmage once again, who JohnnyCage, by the way, chose to go for the Jaina skin for it, my personal favorite for it. Always good to see her. As an Alliance fanboy, of course, I have to defend my lady.
Hates resorting to violence.
Is quite violent herself, though, ironically.
Yeah. Looks like he's actually considering going for the Troll Shadow Priest heal. At least he was checking with the Footman whether the... Oh, he's not doing it, is he? No, he just wanted to see if Orc was doing the thing where they go 18 foot tech with no barracks, and then they send a peon when the altar finishes to the mercenary camp, and they try to mess up humans creeping of it. This is very popular among the pro scene right now. Because humans are either creeping the mer camp or they're pulling the mer camp away to hire the priest without even creeping it. And the peon can mess both of those up. So you have JohnnyCage checking for it, and Hitman stalwartly not doing it. He's just creeping up his Farseer on his own side of the map and getting creeps as fast as JohnnyCage.
Nice item so far for JohnnyCage, getting the claws on his Archmage. So if these two intelligence heroes were to duke it out and exchange blows, it's usually going in the Archmage's favor. Level 2 now, of course, for both heroes as well. Very peaceful creeping, unlike last game where Hitman decided to play a lot more aggressively and who actively tried to steal away those creeps from his opponent. Now these two players are going to meet in the middle, but it looks like nothing really bothers JohnnyCage. He's just on his way, and finally, only now, he was probably busy macroing in his base or something, finally now he pays attention to the Farseer.
Yeah, he throws down a Blacksmith as we speak.
True.
Initially, he might have been happy to ignore the Farseer, but those continuous auto attacks do matter. Note how he's sending away a Footman when it's just 70% life already, because he knows Chain Lightning can finish off any Footman that dropped below the halfway point, coupled with a few auto attacks. Nice cancel here on the Voodoo Lounge. He was 99% of the way done. Oh. Well done by JohnnyCage.
Yeah, those things always hurt. It's not going to be a super big deal, but it could really become very annoying if JohnnyCage decides to go back to, or to stay near and go back to Hitman's base just to do it over and over again. And without healing selves and clarity potions, it's going to become much more annoying for the Orc player to actually be able to creep efficiently because his units are going to be weakened much more. Now the Grunt is trying to come in from Hitman here to body block the Archmage once again, who's likely going to scout out the upcoming buildings once again with a water elemental, but this time Hitman, he's not falling for it. He builds a war mill, and only now that he knows that he can contain the human away from his base is going for the Voodoo Lounge.
Sending water elementals here seems like a trick.
Oh, the creeps are coming.
Did he plan for this? He must know that Orc can try to mess up. But it's actually kind of turning against the Orc. Maybe that's exactly what he was hoping for.
Yeah, maybe, you know, every hit is free damage. And these Ogre Maulers, especially while Bloodless, they deal a lot of damage. They follow the Farseer almost until the entire Orc base here. So yeah, that went really well for JohnnyCage. He interrupts the Voodoo Lounge once again. JohnnyCage, such a thorn in Hitman's side right now.
Yeah, what a tricky fellow. Like, he's like, if I put my water elemental here, I have a 37% chance that the Orc, as he strokes his chin, thinking that the Orc will try to kill my water elemental with the pool, and it's going to turn against him over the next 21 seconds. I'm going to cancel his shop again, and the Farseer will take 200 damage, and the Grunt 150 also. It's like, wow, really nice, JohnnyCage. You knew that.
That went better than expected, and now, of course, he's trying to deny the experience from the Feral Spirit, so very well done by Hitman there, not really giving unnecessary experience over to JohnnyCage, who still continues to linger around, but now with the arrival of the TC, I think this visit will now finally come to an end. Did he get a Voodoo Lounge in the... he forced it all the way back. It's now being built behind the barracks.
And it's pretty cool, you know. It will take
Yeah.
4 seconds longer every time when an orc wants to go back home, get some items, and then go onto the map again. He needs to walk farther away.
Forces are under attack.
Yeah. So the rifles are, of course, coming in right now. Nice war stump actually hitting 3 units at the same time. And all these units for Hitman can only now be healed that the Voodoo Lounge is ready. Needs to be careful though. Those footies are in grave peril. Focuses the one on the top lane actually because the trees are nearby for potential surrounds and body blocks. Very nicely done. Gets 2 for free for his efforts. And these ones really do make a difference. So now Mountain King is here to equalize the heroes' score 2 versus 2. And JohnnyCage, man, like a hedgehog, really, not letting go. He's just there like a honey badger.
Don't they, hedgehogs? Actually, what do you know about hedgehogs? But yeah, it's pretty cool actually to sacrifice double footman against War Stomp ×2, because right now there is no second Stomp, and now Stormbolt will suddenly reign supreme. And he's here basically to take down that first shaman the moment it rears its head. Oh no, he's late with the Stormbolt.
Yeah, and he's focusing on the burrow right now. It's getting repaired by 4 peons at the same time. That should keep it safe for now, but the Stormbolt is an unexpected danger right now. The TC also getting body blocked, of course, by those reinforcing grunts. And JohnnyCage, once again, with immaculate control of his riflemen, really maximizing the damage output. He refuses to go, by the way, where other players would have turned around and maybe get some creeping done, especially for the Mountain King. He just continues to linger around, trying to find weak heroes and units alike.
He doesn't care about creeping.
Yeah, nobody gets time for that.
Creeping? Ain't nobody got time. He does not want the TC to creep.
Yeah.
And he knows my power, he says, JohnnyCage says that, or maybe he would say like my power, lies in my units, rifles. Yours lies in the Tauren Chieftain.
Oh.
So how about I use my units to kill your Tauren Chieftain?
And he takes it down. Just right-click it, you know? Just get your Mountain King level 1 in there and your rifles too, and then just right-click that old cow and take it down in front of the Voodoo Lounge, in front of his own base.
Yeah, very, very nicely done here by JohnnyCage. Another Stormbolt here. His riflemen are going to focus fired on that grunt. These are 5 rifles with an attack upgrade. Their damage is insane.
Oh my god. That's insane. He takes down another grunt. Just right-click and pew, pew, pew. These rifles are shredding those units. And of course, those shamans as well, with perfect countering to their armor class. And now the priests are here as well. Now this Mountain King doesn't care about the harass anymore. He takes it all through, gets level 2 as well, stuns the grunt who is the only target left. He takes it down. JohnnyCage with shadow punches, doing it in true Mortal Kombat fashion. Here comes the stun from the TC. Can he finally do it? He's now just surrounding the TC and turning things around, gives him a little bit of his own medicine as a taste, and takes him down a second time. This is a farming fest for JohnnyCage right now, Grubby.
And that is that. Between the 2 games that each respective player has won, JohnnyCage did his in dominant fashion. And Hitman, though he got the perfect start last game, managed to squeeze out a win by the skin of his teeth in that first game. So between the 2, JohnnyCage looked real good as he got that kill here in this second game. The score is 1-1, and we will go to Hitman's map of choice, but that was very fine play.
That was stellar harass, heavy contain, and a brutal siege really is what it was. JohnnyCage, man, putting this aggression to the next level. And like you said, Grubby, he just wanted to just contain this TC. The hero that gave him so much trouble in game 1. We all know what these war stomps can do, right? It's just, if he never gets that level 3, if he never gets the ore level 2, maybe at level 4 even, this hero is very weak, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And with the MK coming out that early, and the footman that he basically sacrificed to the gods of death, he says, you know, 2 footmen for your war stomp. And suddenly you've got this point. Stormbolt level 1 actually has full stun period, and it only starts to do more damage every subsequent hero level. Whereas War Stomp gets better in 4 ways. 3 ways. It has a bigger stun radius when it levels up to the second ability and the third. Bigger stun, more damage, and longer stun period. So between the 2, Stormbolt is a lot less dependent on leveling up. Stormbolt 1 will do better than War Stomp 1. But both at level 3, War Stomp is a lot better. So why should human go mass creeping if you can do an early pressure like this. It's also valid, but this was really cool.
Yeah, and he also did that on Hitman's map choice. You know, you could have.
No. That was.
Oh, sorry, that was his own choice. Sorry.
Yeah.
So he was feeling. I don't know. Maybe he was planning this all along. You know, maybe this was a strategy that he had tailored for exactly these situations. You know, on LR. I'm not sure. Would you say this is something that you could pull off on LR better than on other maps, or is this theoretically doable on all the maps?
So the map is a little smaller. Last Refuge is smaller than Northern Isles, so it's easier to put yourself on the other side of the map without sacrificing too much in your supply chain of units. The reinforcements get there earlier, so in that sense, it is good. And the way that the map is shaped, anytime Orc wants to creep, they need to move outside of their base towards towards the human base, roughly, relatively. Right. You creep, you have to go onto the map. Take a square map like Northern Isles, and if you actually go creep to a corner, it is roughly still equally far from the human base. And the two different corners are so far away from each other. So Orc has more chance on a map like Northern Isles to go in a direction that does not put them closer to the human. But on Last Refuge, there is no such chance. So it is a very close contact, aggressive type of map, and you need to build your strategies around that. We didn't really see that from Hitman, but we did see that from JohnnyCage. Here's another small map, Amazonia. Hitman's choice. If he were to lose, one of the smallest maps in the pool. And everything gets you closer to your opponent.
Oh yeah, Amazonia. We know this map. Some people love it for the fact that it's one of the smallest in the pool. Some people hate it. What do you think is? Who does that play in favor a little bit more for? The fact that it's Hitman's loser choice, he thinks Orc is doing very well in the map. What do you think about this matchup and Amazonia as being one of the smaller maps?
Well, to understand that, we need to compare it to the final two maps, Echo Isles and Concealed Hill, that neither player chose to be their next map, just their second next map, right? So all that JohnnyCage, Hitman thinks is that it's better than Echo and Concealed Hill. Concealed Hill is it's difficult for Orc to creep the Ogre compared to the human. Human gets those early rifles and the early Stormbolt, but that makes it easy for them to get that Ogre. Despite the existence of the healing fountain on Concealed Hill, it can be difficult to actually make use of those fountains. And the architecture is not that nice for Orc. They don't get a lot of good items. Echo, expansion map for human. I think it's between those two. Echo and Amazonia both are pretty comparable, but I'm surprised actually that Hitman likes this map the most. Amazonia, I wonder if he has a special style. Is he going to go for lightning shield creeping with Shadow Hunter or Farseer? It is going to be the Farseer.
Yep.
What's he going to do?
Yeah, what's he going to do? Is he going to try the creeping route again, which didn't really work out in his favor so much in the last game, or is he trying to be a little bit more aggressive again, you know, trying to scout out his opponent, trying to snatch away some experience, some items potentially even? We're going to find out here in Amazonia. It's fairly predictable as to what the human wants to do, I think, because of those creep spots being so close to the starting base. So you can almost always catch a militia or two, depending on how cleanly JohnnyCage really goes for this early creep.
Yeah, will JohnnyCage utilize Lightning Shield, which takes a few seconds to set up, but can then speed up creeping, but can also deal 10 to 20 damage to the nearby units as you set it up? Or will he go for the standard, let a footman and militia get purged, then summon Water Elemental, don't bother with Lightning Shield? We shall see. He is going to do Lightning Shield creep from the looks of it, and it will take 10-20 damage on everything.
Players' forces are under
not
attack.
The perfect start, but still good enough. He inflicts a little bit of damage onto those rogues in the melee front lines, and now goes for the item on the wizard. Immediately finds the Gloves of Haste. Meh, not the best. He would have preferred claws like last time. Those claws, you know, over the course of time, they really add up and accumulate all that damage. Certainly helped out, and this time, it's actually Hitman who found the claws +6. Nice start for him.
Yeah, that's true. Also Lightning Shield creeping with the 1-burrow attack and the quick shop. Got level 2 from the little level 1 wizard. Afterwards, he sent those very same wolves that achieved that feat to go towards the peasants. And he will confirm that this is in fact the exact same build that JohnnyCage used in game number 1 and 2. If everything looks the same as the opener on map 1 and 2, you could be led to believe that everything thereafter will also be the same.
Yeah.
That is to say, double farm tech into scout tower and third farm. That means that the blacksmith will be built right about now. That could be a valid assumption. And as such, he could try to go for a style that deals with rifle priest maybe
Man,
better
Grubby.
than what worked last game. Yeah.
Oh, that body block was so sick by Hitman.
Sweet.
Really so beautifully done with that grunt and the two feral spirits, getting that footy out of here, securing the last hit there as well. And JohnnyCage now already with a little bit less manpower. He's hiding his units and his Archmage away from the Orcish units. So, the wolf didn't see it, right? It was nighttime.
No.
I didn't see him.
I thought it was big brain wolf movement. Maybe this has been done before in one of their practice moves, but this was really sweet movement by JohnnyCage. Kind of not very straightforward to do something like that, to hide, but it's exactly the kind of play that will work against a good player and only against a good player. They have this mental map of where you can be at various points in the game, and when you're hiding in a weird place like that, it suddenly doesn't make sense anymore. They'll start making guesses how you're actually on the other side of the map. Because of that, JohnnyCage got a sweet little burrow cancel here.
It's kind of like playing poker against other really good poker players. And sometimes when you try to pull off the fanciest of bluffs and you play against a beginner, these guys don't even have it in their brains and they won't fall for it and they will take your money. So when players in Warcraft 3 on the highest levels, they have these min-max routes, the most efficient ways of what their opponents could be doing at the high level, and your opponent is just breaking through it, surprising you with an unorthodox move like that, it can really come to fruition. So it really shows how both players are trying to predict what the other one might be doing.
And it paid off for JohnnyCage here. Those mind games you're talking about, the burrow is just... Oh, no. Oh, wow. Okay. All right. So what happened is we had a third grunt in production that prevented the TC from being produced. And he just canceled that third grunt at 99%, made the TC. All in all, it produced a small delay for the TC to come out earlier because of that third burrow cancel, because of that grunt momentarily tying up gold that was necessary for the Tauren Chieftain. So altogether, small TC delay means that the Mountain King will only be 10 seconds slower than the TC. Kind of like last game. So JohnnyCage is trying to craft another game like before, where he just continually engages with Hitman over and over and pulling away hurt units only to be healed much later by priests.
And I gotta say, I love this very aggressive human style with those early riflemen, the early upgrades, the one attack upgrade, and just to always be in the face of the orc player. And since we all know how much orcs have been relying on shamans lately, like he's been doing that all series long, really just focus those weak these weak casters with his snipers in the back. So well done, and it really seems like that is exactly what Hitman hurts. It hurts him so much to lose these units, to lose his base progress as well with these shop cancels, with these burrow cancels. So JohnnyCage right now is reading the champion of Fight Night really, really well.
We have the first Stormbolt here on the TC to prevent a Dream War Stomp. Those two footmen that got stomped and killed last game, those are still alive right now.
Yes.
And the TC is still on full mana. Maybe the first of many adaptations that Hitman is hoping to do. But there's the second Stormbolt. And JohnnyCage will only focus him for the period of time that TC is still stunned. Then he will pull back his units in anticipation of a revenge War Stomp. So pretty smart micro play by him there. Now pulling in Militia for what he thinks must surely be the re-engage of the TC, but he's already got the level 5 creep. Did use a Stormbolt for it though. Trying to take those items. Chain Lightning comes in, steals one creep. Footy's dropping low.
Pretty huge as well, picking up the Ring of Protection. Huge protection now for the Mountain King coming through. And this time, the focus on the TC, it just didn't work out so well. He tried an attempted body block. It did not work, though, with the Militias, though. Additional front shield for those deadly rifles in the back. Once again, the attack upgrade not fully through yet. Another big war stomp on those hurt units in the front. But now the focus fire has begun. JohnnyCage is trying to spread out his damage a little bit more. Both second heroes, both melee frontliners really in a bruised state right now. And JohnnyCage, how far does he want to take this aggression? He has to send those workers home, needs the lumber income, of course, if he wants to produce more casters and gets more tech done. But yeah, the creeping skirmish was one in his favor. He didn't even lose that many units, and he also forced Hitman back once again. And if you look at the army of Hitman, Grubby, there's a lot of hurt units, so I'm not sure if he should take another fight like that immediately.
Yeah, I agree with you. And these exchanges are to the favor of the human player, who is healing for free with Priest. Whereas Hitman, he had 7 heal salves as the fight began, now has 3. Now he's getting another grunt hurt. He's gonna have to speed scroll it out if he wants it to survive. Or he could just walk away.
Yeah, very close, very close. That was quite the calculated risk taken by Hitman. He's also running out of healing items slowly but surely. Only has 1 healing salve left there. But let's see how far JohnnyCage wants to take it. He now also needs to watch his mana, of course. On the Mountain King, I feel like these early skirmishes were only going so well for him because he always had those Storm Bolts ready, you know, to keep the TC under control, to lock down those hurt units. But now he only has enough juice for 1 in a little bit of time. Other than that, completely dry.
And the clause of attack is not on the Archmage yet. MK doesn't get as many hits in, typically. He still would like to transfer that. JohnnyCage now getting to 48 food, putting up another farm, still in an economically good position. TC, in the meantime, did finally get that level 2, that level that eluded him the entire previous game. Let's see what of an item he gets. Mantle of Intelligence, really good.
Yeah, that's nice. You can keep it on the TC. You definitely want to give all the mana to the frontliners. Ironically, you don't want to give it to the Farseer because you're not as dependent on his spells, and the auto attack damage is negligible as well. So same goes for the Mountain King. I think if you find those pendants, if you find those intelligence raising items, you definitely want to have it on those strong CC machines, really.
Heal scroll picked up by JohnnyCage, and I suspect he should like to get a potion of invulnerability as well. There we go. What item? That's the best. Tome of Knowledge.
Also
Health,
swap the
armor,
claws.
Mana. Swap the claws.
Yeah. Very nice inventory management. Good min-maxing for both players, really. He actually swapped the Mantle of Intelligence over Hitman, that is, so he seems to value the additional auto attack damage on the Farseer a little bit more. And now, JohnnyCage, he's going in, trying to go for the Achilles heel of every orc base. The burrows, 1 got sniped. The Water Elemental is trying to hurt the second one as well. And it looks like, with all those priests in the back, Grubby, and all those rifles assembled, JohnnyCage is here to stay.
Another Stormbolt opportunity on the Shamans. He decided not to go for it yet. Will he now? He wants to make sure he doesn't waste the bolt on Shamans, only for the TC to jump in and get the perfect War Stomp. On Hitman's side, what he really wants is this little Murloc camp right above him. If he's given time to get his TC to level 3 from that, that would help him a lot in the fight. And he gets just that, separating his Farseer, making sure he gets level 3. Nice. There we go. Now he's in fighting shape. Grunts, 1-1 upgrades, 50 food. He wants to buy for time though. He knows that JohnnyCage must be over 50 food right now. So unless he gets a very good position on the fight, he would not like to go for it. And he goes for the Archmage. Potion of Invulnerability passed. Doesn't even want to mess around at all.
Yeah, he's wasting no time here. But of course, Hitman, being the stone cold killer that he is, knows exactly that the Mountain King is now unprotected. He goes from surround on the Archmage to surround on the second hero immediately. He's got his objective. He got the damage done that he wanted to, and he pieces out with a speed scroll immediately to reform his army, to reposition. Now, can he fight into this? He wasted a lot of mana. He wasted a lot of resources into getting that getting that Mountain King, and now Scroll of Protection. And JohnnyCage, despite losing his second hero, he realizes how many cooldowns and how much mana his opponent invested into this. So he's still confident to fight with just his units alone.
The dispels are so off-point, not very accurate, that he's removed most of his own protection scroll already. Regardless, he's dealing with the most problematic spell here, Lightning Shield. And that was a pretty big stomp as well. But look at the amount of units he killed. Will this rifle get the final shaman? No.
Wow.
Look at that food, though. This is perfect for JohnnyCage, isn't it?
Yes.
He got level 4, level 2 brilliance, and he's perfectly gone down to 50 food.
That is true, Grubby. 38. That is a 12 supply difference right now between the two players. And mind you, losing a level 2 Mountain King, I think it was, 2.6, that's okay. If your opponent has to use all the mana, all the cooldowns into that, the shamans were completely dry after that, most of the shamans at least. And, you know, with the rifles untouched, the priest completely unharmed, he still had enough manpower to just fight with the units, to play a little bit of StarCraft 2, really just ignoring the heroes and just going for those right clicks. So strong right now. JohnnyCage once again. But let's see. Also nice item swaps, but also great reaction by Hitman. We talked a lot about Johnny and his momentum right now, but also I feel like Hitman noticed and realized immediately where the weakness of his opponent lies. So these two players, they're really fighting on a very high level at the moment.
Ooh, JohnnyCage catches wind of the fact that Hitman is here. He's going to try and go for the Stormbolt cancel on the Assassin, that Bandit. I think it was a good call. It would have given him level 3 Mountain King. It's the only thing he could guaranteed kill. Instead, though, it was gone over to Hitman. And, you know, this is an obvious move for JohnnyCage. The really big camp. This one is so easy to creep for piercing damage. So hard with melee, but so easy for piercing. And the fact that Hitman doesn't even go for it when it's that obvious, he must know, means he doesn't think he can win a fight right now.
Exactly. The position, the fighting circumstances would favor greatly JohnnyCage, of course, like you said, Grubby. It's very similar to an undead player with Fiends. You know, you can just bait this thing out. You can assume a safe position, and with your superior range damage, piercing damage, this thing falls significantly faster as if the Orc player were to attempt a similar thing. Now, one might assume that maybe Hitman, you know, who immediately evaded to the bottom right half of the map, could have gone for the other red camp, but it's just too big of a risk, and it's really just taking too long, because if he suspects JohnnyCage to be on the left-hand side, another attack into his base is very imminent and very likely. So I think that's the reason why he wants to be at the Goblin Merchant Shop, maybe buy some items for a TP defense now.
Yeah, exactly. He's got his heal scrolls. He's going to try to save money by not TPing, saying, hey, you know, my barracks, it's pretty tanky. I'm going to lose it, but that's about it, and that's fine. Yeah. Let's take these illusions, this level 4, and I'm going to try to do massive area of effect damage here, and that's what he's got. He's very well outfitted on his heroes. Greater heal, small heal pot, invul, double heal scroll, double speed scroll, illusion, clarity. Hitman is about as ready as he will ever be.
True.
And he still may not be ready enough because the army size difference is 10 food.
It's very significant, Grubby. I agree with you here. But once again, maybe with good stomps and good hero focus or hero prioritization, he can pull it off. If there's one orc that can do it in the fight night, it might be him. Now, reinforcements coming in for JohnnyCage. These militias are getting body blocked just a little bit. The TC lightning shield, so important to deal additional damage onto those squishy units in the back. But Dispel, after Dispel comes through, now the illusions are being pulled as well with additional lightning shields. This is, of course, tenfold as effective. But here we go. Healing scrolls pulled on every player's side. So much healing right now. And for the first time in this game, I feel like Hitman has the upper hand now. The TC just being indomitable, really causing so much pressure and pain for JohnnyCage, who's now losing these measly workers.
About 10 food has been killed off, but Hitman has dug deep into his bag of tricks. In his Mary Poppins bag, he found 2 heal scrolls and used already. 2 war stomps remain to the Orcish champion here, but his units are hurt and battered, and the heal scrolls are gone. He's going to have to pull back. One more grunt will be picked off as well, and this goblin shop offers little in the way of comfort. A single heal scroll as Hitman is forced into a corner and will try to fight back.
This almost looks like he had Spirit Link, you know, because so many units were red at the same time. But these grunts, they cannot afford to really spend too much time in the front line because they're going to get sniped down like they were cannon fodder, really. Now finds a good stomp, though. Tries to go after the caster. Finds 1, finds 2. Hitman on the warpath, trying to get as much damage done as possible. Another decent stomp, though, and he only gets 1 rifle for his merit. Dude, Grubby, we don't see a single expansion attempt, you know. It's just hammering their armies, clashing into one another 24/7.
And I think Hitman is kind of turning it around here. He even may eventually procure enough resources to buy a mana pot. Actually, he did. That's a double info pot and mana pot. Hitman is turning towards the core strength of his army. He's nearly level 5/5. Might even pick up Chain Lightning. It will be huge. He's going to get huge stomps, 90 damage apiece. Chain Lightning level 3. He just needs 1 or 2 more water elementals. Maybe JohnnyCage can be so nice to summon some water elementals. Nice block there on the Stormbolt. We get Farseer with the level up. Chain Lightning level 3 will use it instantly. TC coming in with another War Storm, maybe another Lightning Shield. Great play.
Great. So great, Grubby. I like the turned around attempt, you know, really fun Hitman. I love the focus fire. He got the level up just when he needed it. The level 3 Lightning, like you said, would have turned things around. So JohnnyCage, man, he's been so aggressive, and his Mountain King as well was so endangered, wasn't he? He was so surrounded. He did have the invul, but even after that was over, I think he couldn't have saved him.
Yeah, it was way too low to stay. He does have double invul pot now. Archmage, just a blink away from level 5. That's what he wants to be getting now. But we need more healing time on the Mountain King.
Yeah.
Mountain King does not currently have a priest looking over him.
Or is this Trapper going to be level 5 here for Hitman?
Yeah.
Oh, so well calculated.
All right, TC level 5. We have Archmage level 5, Mountain King level 4. A lot of big level ups.
True. That level 3 TC Stomp is certainly going to be a pain here for JohnnyCage right now. needs to be even more careful where he positions his units right now. I mean, these stomps single-handedly can turn a game right now. You have level 3 lightning, level 3 stomps. This is where the orc heroes can dominate. And of course, I think Hitman, he's building more grunts. These grunts, by the way, used to be 2-2 in previous games. Let's see. Yeah, 2-2 again in terms of upgrades.
Yeah. They don't survive for super long, but at least there's no thunderclap.
True.
So these grunts will get in some good damage. They're not getting slowed in their attack speed. There's just a single sorceress for slows. He is getting a second Sork. No invisibility upgrade yet, so it really is just for a few slows here and there.
Speaking of invisible, though, the TC is currently under the effect of an invis potion, of course. So JohnnyCage, unless he reads those weird ominous body blocks, and of course gets surprised right now, we couldn't read it well enough. That's a massive stun. Even the heroes have no chances of escaping immediately. So much damage with the lightning shield and the chain lightning crackling through the human forces like they were made out of butter. One rifle falls. Look at the stun timer. It's ridiculous right now, Grubby. Both players popping the healing scrolls at the exact same time. The Farseer needs to be careful, getting bashed, getting stunned quite in a row.
That's a huge chain lightning. The priests are so low. Can he get them out of range of the next TC? The heal scroll is 28 seconds away. MK still with a lot of mana. Farseer got pressured once before, but the TC keeps stomping. He's got 2 more in him. And that's gonna be a good one. War Stomp on 8 units here as the Mountain King in vain chases the Farseer. A final War Stomp is available. That's a huge chain lightning.
That's a multi-kill into the casters of JohnnyCage. Get zapped, my friend. And Hitman strikes back with great vengeance and strong heroes. That AoE potential was nuts, Grubby.
That was absolutely bananas there. Hitman more and more started to rely on his heroes, and JohnnyCage couldn't buy enough heal scrolls to sponsor these outrageous devastations to his units, to out-heal those, as it were. So JohnnyCage will fall to a 1-2 deficit, and we will be going and pivoting towards his second loser map, which is going to be Concealed Hill. Should he win that and equalize it and bring it to a match point for both players, Echo Isles will be the decider. But for now, Concealed Hill coming up.
Crazy, man. I honestly thought JohnnyCage had this in the back. I was leaning a little bit in his favor until the Orc Heroes really ding-dinged 5-5. I think that is just the point of the game, that if your heroes aren't even, you know, you don't have a level 5 Mountain King to really put up against that. Especially with a build like you mentioned, Grubby, right? No bash. No thunderclap, but bash instead. Right. Just so hard.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Thunderclap would be good against the grunts, but really, the human typically focuses on maximum shutdown of the Tarn Chieftain, and that's why he's got that bash. He wants to ideally get to situations where sometimes he gets this bash on a TC that stuns him, and then he can follow up and prolong that stun period with the Stormbolt right after. That's the dream scenario for a human, to save Bolt until a bash proc, to get an unusually long stun period where invulnerability cannot be activated. After all, you cannot plan the other way around. You don't know when your next bash is going to be after a Bolt.
Yeah, I wonder if for the Archmage at some point it could have been worth to reskill onto Blizzard. But that's really a heavy investment you need to make at that stage of the game, isn't it? The Tomb of Retraining just not being the cheapest of items, especially when every unit counts.
True. And, you could say maybe instead of Brilliance, maybe instead of Water Elemental 3, you could go Brilliance level 3. To say, like, okay, we are going to stay with Water Elemental. We don't have money for Tome of Retraining, like you're bringing up. But at least we'll have a lot of mana. Thing is, he was never really out of mana either, so that was not really a problem for him. I guess the reasoning is, like you said, Kendrick, Book of Retraining would cost too much gold that he doesn't have. He would rather have a 75 food army. And you could say, okay, how about not summoning any water elementals? But still, every water elemental level 3 that he makes, that's 4 purges.
Yeah.
To finish them, that's 4 purges less worth of mana that could lightning shield, that could purge a rifle and stop it in its tracks, that could focus fire a hero and root them. So yeah, I guess it's kind of uncomfortable to continually lose so many elementals and feed those orc heroes. But in the human's mind, they're trying to do a war of attrition, not just of
Yeah.
units and heroes, but also of your mana. They're trying to make their Brilliance mana outlast the Shaman mana. Hitman won because of his micro, patience, and creeping. JohnnyCage could have also easily won.
Yeah, that game was really the best one so far in the series,
Yeah.
I would say. That was very high level. It could have gone either way, really, from start to finish. If I was a viewer in Twitch chat right now, not only would I have my chips and lemonade ready, but I would also be just on the edge of my seat, because these two players really just played a very, I would say, viewer-friendly style, with constant skirmishes and action both sides. So really, these two players are not disappointing. The name Fight Night is definitely taken literally here so far. But now we go to Concealed Hill, guys. Of course, we see the very identical heroes that we've seen all day, really. And, JohnnyCage resorts back onto Jaina as his Archmage. He won with Jaina last time. He lost with a default skin. So let's see what he can pull off this time.
Do you think he's actually switching, or is there some kind of random involved?
That's a good question. It could be random, yeah. But maybe he's actually microing his collection in between the matches. Who knows? When there's money on the line.
Yeah. And it's like, I got 7 seconds. Let's do a quick once-over of my entire collection. Rexar campaign icon. No, I'm gonna go with the Jaina skin.
Nice. All right, Concealed Hill. Of course, we mention this every single time we play on this map, but especially with Reforged now out and perhaps a couple of new players checking out the game on Twitch for the first time, this map, of course, has a very special feature. It has 2 healing fountains, one on each side, one left here, and the other one on the right-hand side here. This is traditionally very nice for orcs, but also other races benefit of it. The higher HP your units are, the more efficiency and raw numbers you're going to get out of it. But humans have really come to play on this map quite a bit too.
Yeah, funnily enough, healing fountains have always been a good feature for orcs.
Yep.
But most of the maps recently, Secret Valley 10 years ago, very recent, and Concealed Hill, they've had 2 healing fountains, which seems like it's even worse for non-orc players. But funnily enough, they have been better for non-orc players, because if orc is on one, you can be on the other. You don't need to fight them for it, where their higher health continually out percentage heals, out absolute numbers heals your units. And secondly, they've always been all the way at the side, protected by air units. Orc doesn't deal with air that well. They cannot take down that Drake very easily. And because it's at the side, races lose the most by sending their army there. They lose the most time, they lose the most map control and influence on the map. So these have been some of the better fountain maps, which I feel like has balanced it out to the point that actually humans, undeads, and even elves, they're happy to play this map against orc. That's why orcs never pick it despite the healing fountain.
Yeah, very true. JohnnyCage's Archmage, who is not Jaina, by the way. We got bamboozled. We just saw the icon in the altar. It's still Dollar Dawnweaver. What a disappointment. However, he is being bullied and chased down by feral spirits and Farseer alike, so he's just trying to divert the orcs' attention a little bit while the footmen are doing the dirty work down there, actually creeping up a storm. Level 2 is here, next to the Brilliance Aura, so very nicely done for JohnnyCage, now getting harassed a little bit himself. Has the Arcane Tower ready to deal with the pesky wolves, though, and he's basically back in good shape. Now, Hitman, though, he's on the hunt. He's on the prowl. He's trying to find that weakened Archmage. Again, this time spreading out the Spirit Wolves a little bit more so he doesn't fall victim to another one of those sneaky hidden maneuvers that JohnnyCage did very effectively in the previous game.
Yeah, he thought maybe Hitman was still creeping that Murloc camp, the Cobalt camp, sorry, Miss Cobalt, at the bottom right. But it was already finished, so Archmage is indeed already level 2.2, and Farseer still 1.0, so this is going fairly well for JohnnyCage. And let's compare tech progress. Remember the last game, there was that burrow cancel by JohnnyCage that led to the TC being only 10 seconds ahead in production of the Mountain King. No such thing happened this time. The burrows are all done on time. TC is being produced and has been for over 25 seconds already, and only now the Mountain King is beginning. So there is that much bigger disparity. If we're going to see a high-level TC before the first engagement, maybe level 2 from the orange camp on the mid-left, then this could be a really good opportunity for him to do so. But the thing is, on this map, human love to take the Ogre Lord from the middle gold mine. And if TC is creeping, it may be difficult for Hitman to do anything against that.
Yeah, the Ogre Lord, of course, strongest camp on the map, very highly contested. Both players really have the means to creep it rather well. For Orc players that don't go Shadowhunter, it's a little bit harder. TC, of course, but ever so important in this matchup. So let's see who's gonna get the big guy first, though. Stomp coming through. He would have loved to hit the Archmage as well, but he was just a little bit too far away. And even now, though, with the help of the summons and all these grunts, they're really trying to put these enemy units into a huddle. And with nice stutter stepping, min-maxing. Oh, he gets that last Farseer attack through for the rifle as well. Killing one, potentially two rifles with good stutter stepping and body blocking is already huge for Hitman. Doesn't lose the Farseer either, so great exchange for the Orc player from NA.
Yeah, that's a much better kill than double footy, by the way.
Yeah.
A single rifleman and hurting another. It's really nice for him because, you know, rifles end up being the bread and butter. Footmen are going to be obsolete eventually. Despite that, he's still sending them to the fountain to heal, to get the most juice out of them. Here we have that MK level 1 attack again. 0 XP, Ring of Protection passed over. Looking to do some Stormbolt attacks. But also, very much of this is the human looking to make Orcs spend money on heal solves. Losing them will end up affecting them in the long run. Any damage done, even when not leading to a kill, could give him some good advantage.
Yeah, by the way, JohnnyCage really living on the edge now. Strong macro, he really doesn't save up a lot of resources. He's constantly below 250, so he's really pumping out as many things at the same time as possible. Mountain King, though, with those Stormbolts, he could potentially get one of those grunts. He doesn't even need it. Gets the grunt for his efforts right now. Has full mana almost. Goes for another one, and this should also be a kill if, you know, Hitman does body block him, but nice army splits here, by the way. Really making the way open and free so that, you know, no Pharaoh Spirit or no hero by accident is blocking the way of the grunt out. So he makes the human spend a lot of mana to very little results right now. Strong focus fire once again onto yet another grunt. Does he have a speed scroll? Yes, he does. So Hitman, very patient, only now pulls the acceleration pedal to the metal and tries to get out of harm's way. But he's running away from his base, leaving the shop, leaving some burrows open, Grubby.
Oh, the shaman! The shaman is getting focus fired and did not get taken out yet. Archmage?
Oh, he just needed one more right click. He didn't get it, though. He probably thought it was safe already, and sometimes cool people, they don't look at explosions or dead units. So yeah, that bites him a little bit, but he gets a burrow. Still a very good target in his own way.
He's not going to actually greed for it. He's not sending anything after that shaman, even though it's a single hit away.
Hitman supply blocked right now, by the way, 41 out of 40, so he needs to rebuild one. Yeah, he's doing that in the back of his base, but the skirmish continues, Grubby. These two players, they want blood. They've already tasted some in this series, but they want more. One more grunt getting stunned. Both players just really flinging out those stun spells onto their opponents, but it looks like once again, with this strong early push, reinforced by rifles, and of course the priest in the back, the human player, JohnnyCage, man, is making a strong claim to potentially get this game for himself.
Yeah, it could be the tiebreaker. Note how he has been using the trees here against the orc. This often happens where people use these trees to create this artificial choke. Hitman is someone that puts a lot of thoughts into where he places his buildings. I've complimented him on that over and over in the last 3 fight nights. Is this barracks the best position? It makes you wonder, because this often gets used against you. The shop, the barracks, imagine no buildings here at all. That would give the TC a lot better engage. But yeah, at this point, I don't know if he has enough units. Even for the rocket fuel like this to do anything at all. The shaman that was low comes back in, does a single burst, gets gunned down. Together with another shaman, the third shaman is going down, getting focus fired as well. Archmage is level 3, nice Warstorm, but there's still a TP.
JohnnyCage, he does not believe in any poke smokes. Oh my god, he loses the level 3 Archmage despite having a TP scroll in his inventory, but maybe it was a calculated risk because he kills even more units on his way out. So I gotta say that was intentional. He knew that if he TP'd out right now, he would give Hitman time to recover, and he just wanted to deal more damage and take down more units, even at the cost of a level 3 hero.
Even at the cost of his level 3. He knew he could tavern rebuy it. I think you're absolutely right, Kendric. Hitting the nail on the head here. His militia are coming in. He wants to make this fight the final fight of the game. And it is GG 2-2. Game decider coming up on Echo Isles.
Wowee, Grubby. It looks like the humans, they're once again putting up a fight for Hitman. He said this many times in interviews, both pre-game and post-game, that while he's not afraid to take on any challenge and to fight any opponent that we throw at him, he still doesn't feel very comfortable against humans. And JohnnyCage, who I saw in the comments on YouTube, who I saw, on Twitter discussions, many people thought it was going to be easy fodder, easy prey, because JohnnyCage has kind of been diving under the water. We haven't seen him participate much lately, but man, is he showing up today.
Yeah. Same comp by both players, both times. Same heroes, same tech speed for the most part. Only Hitman showing a deviation once with that super fast tech on Northern Isles.
Mm-hmm.
Now we get to Echo Isles. Will either player deviate from what they've been showing?
What could we be seeing, though, in terms of hero deviation, maybe strategy deviation? Blood Mage, I know JohnnyCage. I cast a replay off him a couple of weeks ago. He did play Blood Mage there. Is that an option, though, really, for Echo Isles, especially when the Mountain King has worked so well?
So before you choose a strategy you make an assumption or a guess, educated guess, about what you think your opponent is going to do and what your goal is to achieve. And there's one thing that Hitman has done 3 out of 4 times, which is immediate Farseer Feral Spirit Harass. So whatever you do has to play into that. There's only one time that Hitman went for an immediate Farseer creeping, and that's last Refuge, and it's because of the prevalence of Troll Shadow Priest hiring. Now, we're on Echo Isles. That condition can be ticked. You can immediately go for a Troll Shadow Priest on Echo. For that reason, we may see Hitman immediately scout harass. We may see him creep early. However, on Echo, we usually see the harass more often. It's not as common as on last Refuge. So I'd say there's probably an 85 to 95% chance that the Farseer will come right away. There's one strategy in history that has really punished immediate Farseer harass, and it's Mountain King fast expansion. Maybe into Mass Griffins. If that's going to be a style we see here coming out of JohnnyCage, I'm going to take my hat off to him. But I don't know, he kind of looks like he's got this plan today and he's just going to play it the same over and over, but I'd be so pleasantly shocked.
I would be pleasantly shocked, and I would be nothing but in awe and really just quite in admiration for JohnnyCage if he goes for something like that. In a Deciders match, when he's going to, when he's about to take down one of the longest champions in Fight Night history. I think only Napo has really, or Neutron has only really had the title for that long, and Hitman is definitely looking like he could very well do it with a little bit more focus. A little bit better timing, but JohnnyCage, man, he's been putting the fight to the champ like no other challenger before, really. And we've had some big names in there. We've had players like Please before trying to do it. We've had Cash. Yes, that's actually the orc he took the title from, Hitman, that is. So really, we haven't been going easy on him, have we?
No, we have not. Terror is another. Yeah, not a Russian player, by the way. Polish player.
True.
But Terror is another opponent that he has defeated. So Hitman basically completed the Trinity. He's defeated 3 races. Orc, Undead, then Elf. Now it is time for final boss, Human. Next week, if he wins, maybe we'll get a random player.
Who could that be? Well, maybe re-invite Cash. He plays random every now and then.
Then there's Starbuck.
Yeah.
There's JohnnyCage himself. We could put him up against the simulacrum of himself.
All right, guys. Give it up for the 2 players who have been really putting up some fireworks today in this best of 5. Both of them are so close to taking the title, to take those $200 that we give out to the victor week after week. Well, 2 weeks after 2 weeks, I should say. And even the loser, even if you don't make it this time, you're still going to walk away with $100. So, yeah, just give it up for these 2 fabulous players, one representing the ANA region and the other one from Russia representing the EU region. So, we couldn't have asked for more. I was really afraid of that after that first game, Grubby, that we would see a quick 3-0 dismantlement of our challenger. But, man, were we wrong. And I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one who didn't expect JohnnyCage to come in this swinging, really.
Yeah, he's been playing phenomenally. Let's see if he can close it out and start a new legacy, or if he will be one step short from climbing this ladder. Hitman has gone for a 1 burrow opening with Farseer and Grunt, no Voodoo Lounge, therefore it will most likely not be an immediate creeping. It's going to be harass. On the side of JohnnyCage, no special hero fireworks. It's going to be Archmage, double farm, no tower. Same opening from him. He's going to do what has worked for him in 2 out of 4 games.
Yeah, he's trying to go for these early rifles, one of the earliest techs with the number of workers, of course, that he has available right now that human players can do. Of course, the early creeping, very safe, very easy to be done here. Hitman is trying the best he can to interrupt and to be at least some sort of thorn in his side. But let's see. Items-wise, the Ring of Protection, meh, not the greatest, but at least he got something out of it. And over the course of time, this Ring +3, especially against these weak hero attacks by the Farseer, might actually be quite nice to keep the Archmage healthy and juicy for these early harassment maneuvers.
Right. Not to be underestimated in hero versus hero battles early. Not exactly what you want. After all, Ring doesn't do anything against burrows, but not to be underestimated. And JohnnyCage has been giving it to his Mountain King, the second hero, immediately to make him more survivable. Not an unnecessary luxury when it comes to surviving grunt damage.
Okay, 1.7 is the level score on the Archmage. Of course, due to the fact that he now went over to Hitman's base once more, he won't be able to pursue his creeping adventures. He's now splitting off the footies from his main hero so that maybe one of the 2 army parts really can finally recommence into some creeping action, because level 2 with the Brilliance Aura is definitely what you need for these additional water elementals to be summoned. And now the Archmage has finally escaped the Orc's vision. So let's see how quickly Hitman can find it back.
Yeah, he's thinking about maybe cancelling the shop again, but only if he gets the space to do so. Water Elemental 5 seconds away from being summoned.
Yep.
And it will be within the watchful eye of that burrow. Looks like he will try to go for it. It's 80%. I think he has the damage.
Yeah.
And the Water Elemental and the Archmage, they won't die that easily. Archmage has Ring of Protection.
Yeah.
He's going to try. I think shop will actually finish at 10% and it's going to get healed.
Yeah, it's going to get healed. There are, of course, peons nearby that can immediately repair it. So, really a little bit of a waste of time for JohnnyCage, who's also maneuvering his Archmage into quite a peculiar situation here. Very dangerous, you know, if one of those critters near the tree ends up for a cheeky body block. That has been the doom and demise of many level 1 heroes.
1 grunt is on the field, no second grunt. Early war mail. I think this is going to be a Kodo Shaman expansion play by Hitman. He has never made his war mill that early yet, and he's never only gone for 2 grunts, but that is the build. Double grunt, war mill. Having said that though, the money does kind of play out this way, so he really may not do that.
Yeah, let's see. He's trying to contain the human player a little bit more in the base. He's trying to really put that mod to the taste that offense sometimes is the best defense.
There we go. It is that bestiary, so
nice.
I think what I said will indeed come to pass. Hitman does need to have maximum lumber mining. Note the position of 5 of his peons. 1 is kind of in an okay position over the stronghold, but 3 peons are mining quite far away from the war mill. Lumber is very important. You need 185 to expand, and then 60 per Kodo, 20 per Shaman. And that's not even counting 45 defenses yet, which cost 175. So let's see. Let's see exactly how he's going to optimize his lumber income and whether he can actually expand early enough, or if that's even going to be a thing.
Grubby, there's no healing available for the Archmage at all. No priests in production. No Arcane Vault either. JohnnyCage has been notoriously ignoring the Arcane Vault to really min-max his build to the best of his ability. Only now is the Mountain King here, but another set of wolves at some point could be very dangerous. So no level 2 either. Both players, because of the size of the map, you know, a very small map, Echo Isles, have been really just stalling each other out in that regard. And now finally maybe that green null camp can turn things around. But yeah, this is probably the least aggressive we saw JohnnyCage, simply because Hitman was doing such a fabulous job keeping the enemy hero away and low.
True. Ring of Protection kept the Archmage alive. I think it's needless to say. 32 life. Would have been dead without it. TC getting a lot of creeping done. This cannot be a good sign usually for JohnnyCage. With TC getting that high level that early on, he has not been applying the pressure that has been instrumental in all of his victories thus far. And what he doesn't know either is that Hitman is doing a special opener with that Kodo Beast, with that Forest Troll Berserker, a style he has not yet done thus far. heavy grunt upgrades previously.
player's
Now,
forces are
slating
under
up
attack.
for an expansion, most likely.
Yeah, is this expansion coming through? Of course, when you go for this kind of strategy, you need to have a lot of stuff in your army composition to really keep the human forces at bay. So if you wanted to go into a more grunt-heavy style, they would get sniped by those rifles again, like there was no tomorrow, and these upgrades would be very costly, so you couldn't afford the expansion in the first place. So yeah, I really like this deviation of a style to go for a couple of mercenaries, a little bit of range power, a little bit of Kodo enhancement. Let's see if that is going to be enough. Level 3 already on the TC. Very nicely done here in terms of creeping. And now, of course, has to pop the paddle once again with a speed scroll. And immediately, I mean, JohnnyCage just knows too well which units are the easiest to kill, which ones are also a great damage potential or threat potential for his army. So he goes for the expensive mercenary and executes it quite well.
Yeah, true. It was a perfect kill. 245 gold and 40 lumber. Quite a big pickup.
And a speed scroll.
Speed scroll as well, another 50 gold, that's 295. Heal Solve was cancelled on the Kodo, that's 33 gold. Pretty big kills, but the TC is level 3 with a potion of
Player's
invulnerability.
forces are under attack.
Speaking of hero levels, though, the Farseer only, quote-unquote, on level 1. Of course, that is not as important, but remember how much of a difference the high-level Farseer could make in the last game as well. Of course, Echo House doesn't even provide as many creep spots to begin with, but still, level 1 is a little bit disappointing after all this time that has passed so far. Now we have a three-way battle, really. Creeps against human against orcs. Who is going to reign supreme and snatch away the item? Very nice pulling by JohnnyCage, who tries to go for the Ogre Magi, tries to lure it on the left-hand side as well, but one of the Ogres was stolen by Hitman as well.
Yeah, nice double auto attack there on the Ogre. Hitman unable to turn his rifles on that Ogre quickly enough. Ogre Mage, of course, is the big prize. There are 2 Kodos here. No expansion, by the way.
Yeah.
This is all of the power of Kodos without any of the threat. Oh, who's getting this experience? The human got it! The experience and the item. Great job by JohnnyCage.
Huge! Those 2 players, those 2 heroes, once again, were really trying to stun each other so that the respective hero could then pick up the item and the experience, of course. Great steal by the Mountain King. That was his experience now, but this lightning shield is so huge. The stun is so good as well. This TC getting so much damage right now. But, of course, the Kodo, the big prize, was taken away now with the help of the militias. JohnnyCage is looking good. 2.8, 2.4. Those human heroes are on a roll, Grubby.
Archmage now with full mana. Could it be that he has stopped summoning water elementals intentionally to prevent
That
the
he
shamans
has.
from getting as much value?
Also, of course, reduces the amount of experience that the orc player gets into his belly with these
Right.
constant purges. So yeah, actually a cute move by JohnnyCage. Nice that you mentioned it.
And we have more units streaming in for JohnnyCage. He's at 50 food. Both are at 50. There is still a rifleman getting purged here. Nothing is inside that Kodo's belly right now. Next Stormbolt will stop the TC from getting the Dream Stomp. This does not look good for JohnnyCage. Burrow survived as well. There goes down a rifle. There are plenty of more purges here. And that's a big stomp.
That's a big stomp indeed, Grubby. Did the human contender, did the rival, the challenger of Hitman, get a little bit too drunk on his victories, on his past victories? You know, did he want to bite more off than he could chew? He went very deep into the orc base, made it very easy for Hitman to counterattack and executed the Archmage with electrocuted lightning fangs. That was beautifully done by the Farseer, who's close to level 3. He only needs 1 more kill, and he shall get it right now onto the Rifleman. Double level up. In fact, hold my breath here right now. Level 4 TC with that aura. He's just going to catch up to unit after unit. Gets another rifle for his efforts. The Kodo return kill meant the level 3 for the Mountain King, but really, look at the numbers here. Overwhelming power by the American champion, who remains undefeated yet again. But what a battle our human rival, our human challenger put up, Grubby.
Yeah, we've seen really big improvements here by Hitman in the matchup, despite that challenge that JohnnyCage was able to put up. Hitman showing 3 different openers, 2 openers, and 2 different strats. JohnnyCage, same strat 5 times in a row. He played it well when he could rely on his micro, notably also on his favorite maps and on his host. He was able to make that work, but unable to win by special strategies as well. That can be the difference. between a victory and a defeat. And he goes down to 3. Hitman, though, showed a lot of improvement from the last time he played against Human, where all he could do was focus hero and lose all of his units in the process with Blade Shadow, if I'm not mistaken. He's learned a lot. Great job. And he gets his 4th consecutive Fight Night victory.
That he does. Grubby, man. Who's going to stop him at this point? We've tried everything, man. We tried to bring an undead. Like you said, Terror wasn't good enough. Tried to bring a Night Elf. Please. Probably the weakest challenge that was given at him or thrown at Hitman. Cash, he took the title away from him in the first place. And now we took arguably one of the best between 5 and 10 humans, I would say, that we have in Europe, JohnnyCage. So I think we're going to have to switch it up and put up some higher gears. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm sure we can come up with some ideas in 2 weeks from now or 12 days from now if we're going back to a Friday. But for now, it is the glory day of Hitman. Much deserved after hard work. 4th consecutive victory. Another $200 in the bank.
Yep.
And a nice confidence boost going into the ESL Pro Tour Cup in Anaheim just 5 days from now, 4 days from now.
That is such a good point. How good does it feel to defend your title, to take a little bit of extra money into it, and then, of course, be in this tip-top shape that you need for this first major offline tournament and Anaheim. And speaking of practice and speaking of work ethics, I think there's hardly anyone working harder in the Warcraft 3 scene right now than Hitman. Whenever you look at him in Discord, whenever you look at his stream or at his match history on Netties and Battle.net, you know, he's grinding those matches, and he's just not mindlessly doing it. That has his growth over the last couple of months has really shown that, but he's analyzing and using these opportunities very efficiently.
Yeah, you can see it in the cleanliness of his builds and his micro. I think when Hitman gets to the Anaheim tournament, Moon, Hawk, Thorzane, they're going to be like, 4 times Fight Night champion on the scene. Of course, Moon has also won a few things.
Just a few.
Yeah. But really cool to see a serious contender for America at an international tournament. To finally see that coming out once again after the greats like Long Walk, a Short Round, and Nilknarf, and more have impressed in the past on the pro scene. Hitman will be riding with that victory into that Anaheim.
What do you think, Grubby? Should we ask him ourselves? Should we talk to him a little bit about the upcoming Anaheim trip and how he feels about it?
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it, guys. We're going to get the champ on the screen, on the big screen. We're going to call Hitman. Only going to take a little while here. Let's see. It's here real quick. And then we can find out how it feels like what it feels like to be the big champ. You're going to have to reactivate your camera, by the way, Grubby, as always.
4th consecutive victory. How do you feel?
Pretty good, thank you.
Nice.
Was this your strongest opponent yet in your mind?
I think it was definitely the hardest match that I've played, but I don't think it's the strongest opponent. I think Cash is still the strongest player I've played. But yeah, rifles are pretty good.
Yeah, we've praised them a lot, the rifles. You know, we've seen those deadly right clicks on your shamans in particular. What went through your mind when you saw your shamans die in those games that you lost?
Just a little bit of poor control. It could have been better, but I mean, you have to play so much better than the human to beat the rifles. I feel like it's just so hard for orcs to do it. I mean, he's literally just making rifles and moving to my base. Like, there's no thought in his strategy. He's just right-clicking my units after he makes rifles. It's a joke. It's a complete joke.
Sore winner.
Johnny certainly had a good laugh about it then.
Trying to right-click his way all the way to the bank, said Hitman in 2020. But you stopped him. Closest game maybe, Amazonia. At one point you were down to 3+ food. He was still riding 50+. But you eventually grinded out level 5/5. You picked up Chain Lightning 3, and it seemed you had been saving up your manas on Farseer specifically for that level up.
Yeah. I feel like I might have done better with level 3 wolves with harass, but I don't know. It worked out in the end. I feel like the power spikes for orc come when you get the first Kodo and Shaman out. If I'm going for the Kodo Shaman build, I feel like I adjusted in the last game and it helped me a lot because I realized that he was just attacking me over and over as soon as his MKN rifles were out. So in that case, the Kodos I feel are actually better because they provide a huge power spike because you can devour units when he's at your base.
Yeah.
So I feel like my strategy in the last game is better for what he was doing, but I feel like the better way to play rifles is to creep level 3 with your Archmage and just creep the whole map defensively with the level 3 Mountain King. But he wasn't doing that, so I feel like the Kodo build was actually better versus what he's doing. But I feel like Kodos aren't that great if he's playing defensively and creeping.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because you were playing the Kodo Lin expansion style without expanding.
Yeah.
And human only has to attack when you're expanding.
Right.
But you were not. But because he has been attacking you, you pretended that your main base is your expansion. Yeah. Actual 200 IQ, and you went for an expansion defense strat that's only good when someone moves into you because you knew that's what he's going to do anyway.
Yeah, to be fair, I have seen a lot of good orc players playing the two Kodo build regardless of what the human's doing. But it's just something I guess I realized playing the series that the Kodo build is definitely way better than the Grunt Shaman build if he's just moving to my base repeatedly.
You won the fight night, 4th in a row. In a few days, you'll be sailing, cycling, driving, flying to Anaheim.
Yeah.
You're going into what's probably fair to say the biggest tournament you've ever played. Is that true? In Warcraft?
I don't know if it's bigger than WGL. I guess that's up for debate, but it's just gonna be a lot of fun. I'm excited to see how I'm gonna do. There's not a lot of top Chinese players, or none at all actually. But there's still a couple really, really strong players who I'm pretty excited to face. I hope I play a lot of orcs. It's just my favorite matchup.
There's only focus, so you want to meet focus over and over.
I'll be happy if I get focus.
If you were to play focus Hitman, how confident would you be in a victory against him? He's quite the legend, actually. Quite the tall name to beat.
He's a really strong player, but at WGL, I lost to him 1-2. But I think it's definitely a series I could have won. I could have won 2-0 actually, because in the first game I killed his level 3 blade, and then I just continuously pushed his base, but he held really well. I guess it was nerves because I knew I should have just tech tier 3, played defensively and crept, but I was up against the legend, so I'm like, okay, I have an advantage. I need to finish him right now, and that proved to be my demise. But this time I'll play more patiently. I'll be more confident in the skills that I bring, so I feel like if I play him again, I'll have a good chance.
Speaking of orcs and legends, like you said, none of the Chinese players could make it, of course, for obvious reasons that we're all familiar with. That also affects Lin, who is the current world champion, arguably one of the best, if not the best player in the world at the moment, and also the role model for almost every orc in the world. If Lin had made it to Anaheim after all, is there anything you would have asked him or you would have liked to talk to him about?
I'd ask him how to beat human, but besides that, I'd just probably be a fanboy and ask for his autograph or something.
He'll probably give you the same. He'll probably give you the same answer that he gave me in 2004 when I asked him how to beat Night Elf.
Yeah, what was that?
Night Elf is hard for you. I can win 50-50. Just play like me, I guess.
Very nice. All right,
may
man.
Not help you.
Maybe another question, my final question towards the ESL Pro Tour stop in Anaheim. If you had to choose an opponent that you would rather face, would it be Moon or Happy at the moment?
I'd definitely rather play Moon, both because he's the greatest Warcraft 3 player ever. Sorry, Grubby. And I just loved the opportunity to get to play him, and also because I feel like I'm really strong against Huntress builds, and Moon exclusively plays Hunt, so I feel like I'd have a much better chance than against Happy. Even though Undead is my best matchup, Happy's just... I mean, I've played him over and over on the ladder a bunch of times, and I win like 1 game out of 15, so I know I'm not going to beat Happy. It's going to be a tall order.
But there's Undeads and then there's Happy. That's true.
Yeah. But versus Moon, I haven't played him too much. I've played him a couple times on ladder, and I've actually beaten him at a higher win percent than Happy, so I'd be more confident against Moon than Happy.
Really cool. Well, good luck with your preparations in the coming days. Congrats with this maybe a little confidence boost. We're looking forward to seeing you there at the tournament and in 2 weeks from now in Fight Night number 22.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, that was a great series, Grubby, man. One of the coolest best of fives that we've had in Fight Night so far, I would say. And once again, Hitman was part of it. A very clutch, close 3-2 in favor of our NA champ. And yeah, we're going to have to think twice about who we're going to invite next. You know, there's still some delicate names that we could toss into the bowl. But yeah, maybe in a very short statement, your final resume of what we've seen today. How well did JohnnyCage do?
JohnnyCage played a micro-based style on alternating hosts. He only won on his own host.
Mm-hmm.
He was unable to look at the series from the perspective of ping as well, and also from the perspective of adaptation. So although he was good within the purview of his strategy, he was unable to come up with a strategy that worked for all conditions and for developing conditions. As such, he was not ready to take a Fight Night triumph. Maybe we'll have him back sometime in the future. He has played a lot of tournaments in the last 1 or 2 years, online specifically. Very little offline experience as far as I know, and a relatively new player in general. So it's possible we have not seen his best yet. It's a cool moment to see him now, and he nearly got there this time.
That's true. Very eloquently said, and I couldn't really have said it better myself. So, yeah, guys, we hope you enjoyed the Fight Night as much as we did. It's always a pleasure to cast these players. It's always a pleasure to do it with Grubby on top of that. So if you enjoyed the show, and if you like what we do here for the Warcraft 3 community, feel free to leave a follow on this Twitch channel for the upcoming episodes of the Fight Night. And if you've missed maybe some of the earlier matches, you know, or if you just want to catch up on some of the past episodes, you can always catch our YouTube channel. The link will be in chat if you type !YouTube. It's very easy to do, and there's some other content that we're doing there as well, so we would love to see you there as a subscriber perhaps one day. And until then, guys, in 2 weeks, we're going to be back after ESL Pro Tour Anaheim. There's, of course, also the upcoming Heroes Hearth Invitational that we announced a couple of days ago. You can follow us on Twitter. You can check out all the news there. Back to Warcraft is going to be involved. I will be involved. Grubby is potentially going to be involved. So we're going to figure out all the details and keep you guys updated on that one. Until then, thank you so much for watching, and the final words belong to Grubby before we peace out and close the show.
Hope you enjoyed tonight's Esports Warcraft 3. Everyone, thanks for watching. Have a great weekend, a great start of the week, and next weekend, big tournament coming up. Get your popcorn ready. See you next time from Kendric and I, Grubby. Hope you enjoyed tonight.